Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in today because we are unpacking a truly fascinating blueprint for transforming our lives. Now, look, we all want radical improvement, right? We want to see massive changes. But what if the real secret to massive transformation isn't massive action at all, but rather incredibly small, barely noticeable daily habits? Today, we're exploring James Clear's incredible framework on how improving by just a tiny 1% fraction every single day can completely rewire who you are. I want to hook you immediately with some honestly staggering math. 37. If you can manage to improve by just 1% each day for an entire year, those tiny gains, they compound. And because of that compounding effect, you don't just end up a little bit better, you end up a massive 37 times better by the end of the year. It's not a guess, it is a mathematical certainty. But of course, as with all math, it works in both directions. Contrast that massive growth with getting just 1% worse every day. If you make those tiny, seemingly harmless negative choices consistently, you eventually whittle yourself almost all the way down to zero. Honestly, it completely shatters the illusion of overnight success. Our small daily habits are already transforming us right this very second, for better or for worse. So to really harness this power, we need a roadmap. Here are the 4 stages of habit formation we'll be covering. Stage 1, noticing. Stage 2, wanting. Stage 3, doing. Stage 4, liking. And finally, the ultimate goal of it all, a profound identity shift. Let's start right at the beginning with stage 1, noticing, moving from motivation to clarity. So many people falsely believe they just lack willpower or motivation, when in reality, what they actually lack is clarity. Enter the concept of implementation intentions. Having a highly concrete plan takes the daily decision-making completely out of the equation. You don't have to wake up hoping you feel motivated to write that chapter or hit the gym. You just decide in advance. You simply state exactly when, where, and how you're going to implement the habit. But let's be real for a second. Life happens and challenges are absolutely going to arise. So to make your plan bulletproof, try a failure premortem. It's a mental exercise. Fast forward 6 months from now and imagine you've completely failed at your new habit. Why did you fail? What specific thing took you off course? By predicting that future failure right now, you can lay those obstacles out on the table and build if-then plans. Like, well, if I can't exercise Monday at 5 p.m. because work ran late, then I will go Tuesday at 7 a.m. You adapt before you ever actually stumble. Which brings us to stage 2, wanting. Designing your physical environment. It is a hugely overlooked truth that our physical space drastically shapes our desires. If you want to practice your guitar more, you can't bury it in the back of the closet behind the vacuum cleaner. Put it dead center in your living room. Or if you want to read more, put the book right on your pillow the minute you make your bed in the morning. Making a good option highly visible and accessible naturally drives the habit without you having to force it. So the crucial takeaway here is that you don't have to be a victim of your environment, you can be the architect of it. You just cannot consistently overpower a negative space with sheer willpower alone. It runs out. Instead, you have to design your space to make good behaviors incredibly easy and bad behaviors incredibly hard. Now let's move to stage 3, doing, putting your reps in. In the very beginning of building a habit, the absolute most important thing you can do is just shut up, start, and get your reps in. Far too often, we fixate on these massive finish lines, exactly how much weight we're going to lose, or the exact dollar amount we want to earn. And honestly, that's a trap. Instead, you need to optimize for the starting line. Make the act of actually starting as ridiculously easy as possible. Because if you just put those early reps in, the massive outcomes, they arrive as a completely natural result. Moving right along to stage 4, liking. The power of immediate reward. Here is the fundamental, incredibly frustrating problem with good habits. The cost happens right now, today, but the ultimate reward is heavily delayed. You feel the physical pain of the gym today, but the fitness, that arrives months from now. Seth Godin sums up the solution to this perfectly. The best way to change long-term behavior is short-term feedback. You have to figure out a way to enjoy the process right now, in the present moment, to keep the habit alive. One really fantastic way to do this is a simple, highly visual wall calendar strategy. Say your habit is writing jokes for 15 minutes a day. Every single day you do it, you grab a marker and put a big red X on that calendar. After 5 days, you've got a chain going. And at that point, the quality of the jokes doesn't even matter. Your only goal is just don't break the chain.
Crossing off that day provides that immediate, satisfying short-term reward you need to survive until the long-term results actually show up. And all of this brings us to the emotional climax of it all, becoming a new you, moving from process to identity. Because what we are really talking about here isn't just a clever process for doing things a little bit differently. It is about becoming a totally different person. Change happens plank by plank, habit by habit. With consistent action, you don't just change your external results, you actually change your internal identity. The things you do day after day actively accumulate the bulk of the evidence for what you fundamentally believe about yourself. Let me ground this in a really specific example. Say you decide to study Spanish every Thursday night for just 20 minutes. Over time, you build up this undeniable mountain of evidence that you are a studious person. The small actions you take literally provide the undeniable proof to your own brain for who you are. I absolutely love how this is framed. Every action you take is actually a vote for the type of person you want to become. And here's the truly beautiful part of this concept. You do not have to be perfectly unanimous to win an election. You are going to make mistakes, you'll miss a day, but you just need a majority of votes to successfully forge this brand new identity. So to summarize the core philosophy here, true change is identity change. The goal isn't to just read a single book, it's to actually become a reader. The goal is not to force yourself to run one marathon, it is to become a runner. Every single time you practice music, you are actively being an artist. Habits are quite simply the ultimate path through which we forge a completely new sense of self. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. Who are you casting your votes for today? Take a hard look at your environment. Look at those small 1% choices you are making every single day and ask yourself what identity you are building, plank by plank. Take these 4 stages, noticing, wanting, doing, and liking, and start rigging that election in your own favor. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.